the software have this option here to create tags. It's very useful because you can classify the elements that you have in your project by these tags. There are a lot of proposals for that, but one of them could be, for example, to activate and deactivate parts of the project when you are modeling, or because you want to export then these drawings according to this reference. And the first thing that we can do here is add one or more than one tag to one element. Okay, this is not new. You can add not just one tag, but different tags to an element. Okay, for example, if I activate this little button here, show information texts, when I hover in an element, I can see the information of this element. So in this little box that you see in the right side of the screen, you can see this section have the reference PR3. We can see the length, the description, the weight, and the tags of this bin. Okay, so the tag of this bin is PIF. Okay, if I hover in another one, I will see that the properties of this other bin, in this case, another length, another description, and a different tag. In this case, the PRL tag. Okay, so in the previous version, to add a tag to an element, you just use this button here, assign tag. You select the element that you wanna add this tag. You can also have a multiple selection. You can also use this window to select different elements. Okay, once you select, you confirm with your right button of your mouse, and then you add the tags that you want. Okay, so for example, in this case, it was the PRL tag, that is this tag here. But if I want, I can also change and add the T tag to these elements. Okay, so yeah, very easy. This is not new. This is part of the software almost since the beginning. But the difference here is when you have something more complex. Let's imagine these tags I've created, they are related to the type of material that we have. Or for example, we created a classification based on the materials. But then when we are constructing, let me just come to the beginning here. That's delete that tag that we included. But let's imagine that during the execution of this project, we also want to create two phases for the execution. For example, the phase 1 that we will assign a color, for example, red color, and the phase 2. Let's imagine there are two moments of the construction. For I don't know, for any, it's just to create an example. Sorry, let me put it on English. Phase 1 and phase 2. Okay, and let's imagine that even there is a classification by materials, we also must classify by phase. Okay, and part of our structure, let's imagine, for example, that this part here, these elements here, they are part of the phase 1. So I selected all those elements that are different materials, different tags. And now if I just add here phase 1, actually what I'm doing is assigning not just the phase 1 tag to all the elements. I'm assigning all the other checks, all the other phases to all the elements. And maybe I don't have the same materials or the same tags. So this is the new feature now. Now I can select how I would like to add this new tag. If I maintain the default options, assigning to the selection of tags, all the tags will be applied to all the elements that are selected. So everything is going to be equal here. But if I select this one, add to the selection of tags, this is going to be empty. And then I will just add a new tag and maintain the other tags that can be different for the different elements. And I will add just this new tag. So it's like an extra tag that I add to the situation that I have before to those elements. So if I do that, now I can see, for example, let's just use here this option and hover, that this guy now have the previous tag that is PIF and phase 1. Okay, if I go to the other, now I'll see the PRL, that is a different one, no, but also the phase 1. okay? So let's do again, let's do to the other part of the building. For example, I will select now these guys here, okay? And these guys, they are actually, I will add actually the phase 2 tag, okay? These guys, phase 2. If we hover here, sorry, I deactivate, let's activate again. Here, this guy, I can see that is PRL and phase 2, and this guy is PRL and phase 1, okay? So now you can add extra tags without changing the previous tags of each element by selecting, when you define the tag, how you wanna add these tags. The same thing could be to remove a tag. So now you can add one tag or remove one tag without changing everything here, okay? Something that is also not new, but I think it's important to show to you, it's the criteria that we have to represent the colors of these tags in the screen. Because as we saw, we can have more than one tag to one element. So how we see the colors here? What's the criteria? So the criteria is, according to the order of these tags here in this table, the colors, we'll see the colors here in the elements. For example, these elements have PIF and phase 1. PIF is here, phase 1 is here. If I move the phase 1 to a position that is in the top, for example, here, and then the PIF, now I can see the red color. If I go, you put the PIF here, now I can see the pink color, okay? So according to the position of our tags here in the list, we set how the colors, how we see the colors in the screen, okay? So the first color that we find in the tags with one element will be the color that will be represented here in the screen, okay? So in sometimes maybe you can just alternate it to visualize and then activate and deactivate elements, okay? But it's important to note that this order affects the way that we see the elements in the screen.